Today we want to make a polka dot pattern on our wedding cake, and we're going to be using gum paste. You could also use fondant, but gum paste has more gummy chemicals that are in it. So when you mix it together, it starts to become more rubbery, more elastic, and stick together. If you do it with just plain fondant, when you lift it up off of the table to attach it to the cake, it's actually going to lose its shape a little bit. And we want to make sure we have perfect circles for our polka dots. So I'm using a yellow gum paste. I just colored it with a little bit of yellow. And that's because we're going to go back later and paint them in gold. And I want to have a nice base color to start off with. So I'm going to just use a small handful, wrapping up anything I'm not using. And I've got a little bit of fat here, and that's just going to soften up our yellow gum paste. To make our dots, instead of using cookie cutters, I'm actually using some tips from piping bags. So I've got an 803 here and I have a 807, and I'll be using both sides. So you can use these two tips interchangeably to get different sized polka dots. So I'm going to roll this out. You could just use an acrylic roller in your countertop. I like to send mine through a pasta machine so that they're really nice and consistent as far as their thickness. Beautiful. So here I have a nice sheet of rolled out gum paste. I'm going to use the thick end first. Really get it down there and you'll see you get a perfect circle out of it. If it sticks through the center like that, just pop a paintbrush down. And I'm touching them very gingerly so as not to distort their shape. If I were doing fondant, it would be sticking to the table a little bit more. So the gum paste is more cooperative. It's tempting to try and go doot, 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 and have them stack up inside the tip, but they will get stuck that way and will distort and pain to move out. Okay, that should be enough to start with. I'm using regular water to attach these to the cake, but you could also use a piping gel. And we're just going to be doing a polka dot pattern on our medium tier in the middle here. So the first thing I always say is to look for flaws. I have a little ding here. I want to make sure that's covered up. This is a perfect opportunity to cover that up, and no one will ever know. Just like that. It's gone. If you ever see something funny on a wedding cake, there's a good chance there's a ding underneath it. So the trick with doing a polka dot pattern is spread them out first. You don't want anything too close together. When you're working in smalls, work in 2s or 3s. So when I apply these, do one here and have one fairly close by. That'll be cute. We're going for cute and happy, not measly. So it's all about spacing. If you do have to go back and take something off, don't, if you can avoid it at any cost. If you simply have to, you're going to use either peel it off or scrape it off with a small spatula like this. Also, don't be afraid to cut them in half. It helps it to look even more realistic if you've got one coming up out of the bottom or from the top. See, that's what you want to avoid, two that are very similar to each other. So I'm just going to pop that right off and move it down here. takes a little practice to get used to the way it should look, but it's such a great, cute payoff. And that is how you put a polka dot pattern on a wedding tier.